If you just looked at the numbers, you'd say, wow, this is not a question of whether Democrats are going to lose Senate seats, but how many are they going to lose? Now, there's one problem with making that statement, and that is that most of us made that statement 2 years ago. And that, through most of the 2012 election cycle, it really did look like Republicans would pick up 2, 3, 4 U.S. Senate seats in that election. And keep in mind, we kind of have to have two mindsets. In the House, the table is set or the cards are dealt in each election by the previous election, what happened because of the 2 years terms. But in the Senate, because it's 6-year terms, we have to look back and say, okay, what happened 6 years earlier? So in 2012, we were operating off a base of 2006, which, as I said, was a terrific year for Democrats with the Iraq War and was President Bush's second term, midterm elections, and all the arguments we've already talked about. And so they had a great election in 2006, so Democrats did. So they were overexposed in 2012. They probably should have lost seats. But a couple of strange things happened. You had a couple of people who decided it would be a really good idea to swallow hand grenades after pulling the pins in Missouri and Indiana, and some other bad breaks here or there, and we went from a situation where everybody thought that Republicans would pick up 2, 3, 4 seats to actually a net loss of 2. And so that's why I'm a little reticent about saying, even though the dynamics are very similar, 2008 was a great year for Democrats, therefore 2014, they're overexposed. You walk through the numbers and the overall numbers, the open seat numbers, the seats that appear to be vulnerable, all these things, by all rights, Democrats are enormously overexposed in 2014. And yet, a lot of this is going to be contingent upon, can Republicans fix their problems, both in terms of their macro brand problems on the one side, as well as problems like, number one, are they getting good people to run? Are those people winning their primaries? And are they, and do they, what kind of campaigns they run, that sort of thing. Because Republicans have had, they've been kind of snake bit in the Senate for the last 2 elections, if you think about it. Even though 2010 was a terrific year for the Republican Party, and they did pick up they did pick up a good number of Senate races in 2006. Of the 7 Senate races that we rated as toss-ups going into Election Day in 2010, Republicans lost 5 out of 7. And in 2012, they lost 8 out of 10. And so there's sort of a monkey that Republicans have to get off their back, where they've been losing the close races. And some of this is brand damage, and maybe a little of it's technology. And we can talk about that later if you like. But we're seeing, Republicans if the Republicans get their act together, they ought to be able to pick up a bunch of seats in this election. Now, as of today, Republicans need a net gain of 5 seats to get a majority in the Senate. The real number is 6, because they've kind of borrowed a seat in New Jersey that they're going to lose in October in that special election that they're hardly contesting. So the big number is going to be a 6-seat net gain that Republicans will need. And, certainly there are 6 opportunities out there. Heck, there are 3 Democratic open seats that look more likely than not to go into Republican hands. But it's those 4th, 5th, 6th seats that Republicans have to really worry about.